Today News Update.
This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, August 18. So glad you could join us. The island's poultry producers say they are facing challenges. This comes on the heels of concerns raised by Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, on Wednesday, that some retailers have been forcing small farmers to sell their produce at a reduced price when they simply cannot afford it. Last month, some producers entered a compact with government to lower the prices of some produce. But in an interview with Barbados Today, Managing Director of Gales Agro Products, Barry Gale, said while the three major poultry producers had signed the compact, small farmers did not, and they should not be pressured to lower their prices.
What has unfortunately happened is that I think a number of the retailers on the island, maybe some of the supermarkets who aren't signed on to the agreement, even some of the restaurants, what they're doing is that they're leveraging this idea of reduced prices from the big wholesalers, and they're putting it onto the small farmers as well. So they're demanding that the small farmers also give a discounted price off of their original price. Invariably, small farmers are competing with the larger producers based on price, so they offer a lower price. For them to give a discount now will drop them into unprofitable territory. I think it's a matter of a misunderstanding of the retailers who are pressuring the small farmers. The small farmers aren't signed on to this agreement. Only these three large producers are. And the larger supermarkets are also signed onto it on the basis that they get a lower price to buy it. They also sell it for a lower price, so that by that mechanism the consumer is protected when they go to buy fresh whole chicken and this chopped mix.
Gale says the situation has caused a number of farmers to cancel their orders at hatcheries as they grapple to stay in business. He says the three main poultry producers have, however, stepped in to prevent a shortage of chicken.
Unfortunately, we have some cancellations. The larger producers, they've all been working together. I mean, I'm not a producer of finished product, but I've been working with the producers to try to place what the small farmers have not been taking. So we are trying to protect the industry itself from being short of chicken in 6 weeks. I think that once people understand the idea of the agreement, the idea of the mechanism, that there were a few people who came to an agreement to do something that is onerous on them. If you're reducing your price, you're losing margin. But they were willing to do this, to work with the government and with the Prime Minister in her initiative to try to rein in some prices. Again, not every supermarket and not every producer is signed on to this agreement, and not every chicken product is a part of that agreement. So fundamentally it's whole fresh chicken and chopped mix. And I think if the small farmers are given a little bit more support in this, then we could see our way through this misunderstanding.
Motorists will from midnight Thursday see the effects of government's recently announced cap on the price of fuel at the pumps. That's when the retail price of gasoline drops by 44 cents to $4.39 per litre, while the cost of diesel will decrease by 43 cents to be retailed at $3.85 per litre. Kerosene remains at $2.36 per litre. On Monday, Prime Minister Mayor Motley announced that government had decided that the retail prices of gasoline and diesel would not go above $4.48 per litre and $4.03 per litre respectively, regardless of the price on the international market. She made clear that if prices fell below the cap, which remains in place until at least January 31, 2023, the reductions will be passed on to the consumer. Government said the capping will bring some level of predictability to retail prices of gasoline while shielding consumers from the full increase of refined petroleum products. From Saturday, unvaccinated travelers will no longer be tested on arrival at the Grantley Adams International Airport. In a revised protocol for air travel issued by the Ministry of Health and Wellness today, authorities, however, advised that unvaccinated travelers will require a rapid antigen test or PCR test, which should be taken within 3 days of arrival into the island. Travelers are encouraged to download the BIMSafe app to upload their travel documents for smooth transition at the airport. Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George said once pre-flight COVID-19 test results are validated, travelers will be allowed to enjoy the island safely. A strong call for the British government to release more than $1 billion of Venezuela's gold reserves being held at the Bank of England. Today, members of the Venezuelan Solidarity Committee, the Caribbean Movement for Peace and Integration, Pan-Africanists, and others staged a peaceful picket outside of the offices of the British High Commission condemning the action. On July 29, London's High Court ruled that the British government recognizes the country's opposition leader as the interim president of Venezuela, and the control of the gold should fall to a board of advisors named by the Venezuelan opposition and not to an alternative board named by President Nicolas Maduro. Attorney at law Lado Hanneman denounced the ruling.
There's a clear, from looking at it from a legal point of view, a clear breach of trust. There was a contract between the British government and the Venezuelan government, and the British government have breached that contract. They've seized the 33 tons of gold, and they're saying that in fact the current government in Caracas is not the legitimate government. They're saying it's not a democratic government. But yet at the same time, the British government has very friendly relations with dictatorships all over the world, in particular the Saudi government.
General Secretary of the Caribbean Movement for Peace and Integration, David Denny, urged CARICOM to take a stand on the matter.
CARICOM and Caribbean governments have a duty, and that duty that CARICOM and Caribbean governments have must be, okay, to denounce this kind of action against the government and people of Venezuela.
Regional and international news coming up after this short break.
Pure oxygen is way more than just water. We infuse pristine water with over 1 billion tiny oxygen bubbles using our state-of-the-art process. The benefits of additional oxygen are huge, from strengthening your immune system to increasing energy levels, stamina, and sports performance. And that's not all. It also improves skin health, helps you sleep better, and reduces stress. Join the movement of people experiencing the benefits of pure oxygen. It's not hype, it's science.
To regional news, most Jamaicans believe that a lack of job opportunities is the biggest contributor to crime and violence in the country. That's according to the findings in the latest RJR Don Anderson Gleaner poll.
Crime and violence is one of the biggest challenges facing Jamaica. From January 1 to August 14, there were 938 reported murders, 27 more than the same period last year. Robberies are also up. 569 were recorded since the start of the year. 611 break-ins were recorded, also showing an increase. During the July 16 to 26 period, 1,113 people were asked about the main contributors to crime and violence.
These were totally unprompted. These were the responses that people gave to us when we asked them the question, and we recorded their answers verbatim. And we got a fairly large number of responses from persons. So large that we've only here plotted the top 10, really.
59% of those interviewed said a lack of job opportunities, 56% greed and corruption. Poor economic conditions was third at 49%. Lotto scamming 42%, and 40% said the uncontrolled growth of gangs. Persons interviewed also made mention of other contributors to crime and violence. Politicians 38%. Fathers absent from households 35%. Domestic violence at the family level 31%. Bad role models 28%, and inadequate policing 21%. The RJR Gleaner Don Anderson poll has a margin of error of a plus or minus 3%.
On the international front, members of Argentina's trade unions have marched in tens of thousands, protesting against the rising cost of living. With inflation in the country expected to hit 100% for the year, the workers are demanding businesses do more to keep prices down.
Inflation hits everyone, but the greatest impact is felt by workers, especially those on lower wages. All of Argentina's main trade unions, representing teachers, construction and health workers, truck drivers and civil servants, marched on Congress to support the government. and to demand restraint from the businesses that set prices.
One of
the main problems is the hyperinflation we have been experiencing for some time now. We are against paying the International Monetary Fund, which is reflected in the lack of jobs. There are no jobs, wages are not enough, permanent price increases. That's why Argentine workers are on the streets today.
Inflation in Argentina in July hit 7.4%. It's projected to reach around 100% for the year. Inflation is an indicator of a weak economy. Argentina's is a victim of crippling foreign debt. And like the rest of the world, the pandemic and the rising cost of fuel and flour caused by the war in Ukraine. These marchers behind me are from the province of Chaco in the far north of Argentina. They've come from all over the country because inflation hits workers the hardest, seeing the value of their wages diminishing week by week, month by month. The government on Tuesday cut subsidies for household fuel and water bills, saying it would refocus on those most in need. However, with prices rising weekly, those needs are growing.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.ee. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Medium Bus Terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.